everyone, in a recent video I was using some of my own homemade Druzy silicone inserts, these little guys, and I said I'm not going to make a video because there's loads of videos on making crystals and Druzy inserts out there, unless you really want me to. Well, it seems everybody wanted me to, so I'm gonna make you a video. Now, what we're trying to achieve initially then is some crystals. Now, the ones that I moulded those initial two from are here. You can see there's a bit of sparkle there. I have recently been trying to grow bigger ones, and I'll tell you how to do that. There they are, because then obviously you can take your silicone casting from them. Here's another one that's gradually working. I don't know if you can see, but there are crystals starting to form in the bottom already. Right, all we do then, let me just show you how to do that, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take a silicone casting off this one. Let's put it out of the way. I'm working in a bit of a cramped space this morning because I've got all sorts of things curing around here. I really need to have like a drying area sorted, don't I? Anyway, what we've got is some boiling water. Now, I'm only going to need a little bit. I'm going to make a little tiny one in the bottom of this little pot. So you need boiling water. You probably should mix this up in your jug first instead of doing what I'm doing, but this is how I did these ones here, so I'm just replicating that for you. The crystals I'm putting in will gradually dissolve, and you keep adding them until they stop dissolving. But leave that a second while I show you what the crystals are. This is what it says on the bag. Okay. However, it's actually got a really longer name than that, and the name I know it is as is alum, A-L-A-M. So I'll put you the link for this, where I got this from, down in the description below the video here, but just bear in mind when it pops up, you might think, have I got the right thing, because it says that on the bag instead. It is. That's the one I bought. I don't know why the different names. It might be a language thing, don't know. Now this takes a while to dissolve, as you can see. And you do have to use boiling water, otherwise it doesn't want to dissolve. It could be this water's cooled slightly while I poured it out, I don't know. But what I did was kept going until there was just a little bit left in the bottom of the pot that wouldn't dissolve. Then you know it's saturated, and also that little bit that's in the bottom of the pot still just becomes your base anyway for the actual crystals to grow. Now you're going to have to be patient with this. I've seen some online where that's how I learnt to do this, to be fair, just watching other people's videos, but I've seen some where they manage to get the crystals to grow really fast. I've also seen ones where they use heat to encourage them to, the water to evaporate quicker and for the crystals to form quicker. I've never managed to do that, to be honest. I have tried using heat, and one thing I have found, and here's a little tip for you, is that the slower you let it evaporate, the crystals form as the water evaporates. So the slower you let it do that, the bigger the crystals are. And that one I just showed you that's actually ready to go is a good example of that. Right, I'm just going to put this to one side. It's I think I might have got it saturated already. Don't know. Now the next thing to be aware of is don't move it if you can help it. I've had to move these today to show you this one. I didn't want to move this one really because it's still working. You don't want to disturb it. I mean, once it's dried thoroughly, then not a problem. Right, let's put that to one side because that's boiling water. We don't want dangerous knocking overs of boiling water, do we now? Right, now this took, what are we talking about? Probably over a week. I've ended up with these nice crystals, and they are chunky, and that is because I let it cure slowly. Now I'm just going to get this off the sides, this surplus. This could actually go back in your bag because it is just the dehydrated crystal, but I'm actually going to pop it in a little pot. I'm not getting it out of the bowl because I want the bowl to stay sealed. These are some cheap plastic bowls I got from IKEA. Right, we're on to silicone now. So you need a pot that isn't made of silicone to mix this in. And I've just got an old yogurt pot here. The silicone I always use now, and no, I'm not sponsored by them. At the point of making this video, I am not receiving any sponsorship from anywhere, but the silicone I use is Let's Resins, and it is the only one I use now. I've tried loads and loads and loads. I've settled on this as by far the best, and you can even get ultraviolet light to work through it because it is fairly translucent. The other nice thing is it's a one-to-one, so dopey people like me who can't work out anything more complicated, we're fine with it. Now whether that's enough, I don't know, but I'm just going to mix this up and I'll be back with you shortly. And I'm just going to pour it in. Now you want it fairly thin because obviously you want people to be able to use this as an inlay. This is going to be quite a good sized one. That might even be too much, I don't know. How far below is it? Yeah, that might be a bit too much. I'm going to take a bit back out with a spoon and we will refill the other little, my original one. Yeah, once you've got one of these, you can keep using them. Yeah, you want it to be quite thin. I've definitely made that too thick. This one ends up being a little bit thicker because somehow it ended up concave. So to get all of it under the silicone, it means the middle bit gets quite thick. Well, you know, thick as inlays go. It just gives you a bit of a shape to it when you use it. Whereas this other one I'm hoping will be quite flat. Now I want to have it, right, there's a bit starting to stick proud from the resin there, now, the silicone there now, so I know I need to put a little bit back in. You want it to cover with a thin layer everywhere and not much more. I think that's the trick. There we are. If it's too thin, then it will obviously be a bit easy to tear. If it's too thick, then it doesn't really work quite so well as an inlay. So let's see how that goes. Now this silicone cures really quickly. You don't need to put heat under it or do anything clever like that. Just walk off and leave it. I usually find I can pull it out in about 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes it's even quicker. It depends how warm it is in the room. So yeah, I'll see you shortly and we will get that out. Right then, these have cured. It's only been a couple of hours, but it is quite warm here. So let's see if we can get them out. Just loosening it around the edges. Using my thumbs to do that, as you can see. And then we should be able to grab it. Now it probably will have wrecked, yeah. Look, it's wrecked this underneath. Looks like it perhaps wasn't completely dry. I'm just going to go and wash this off. Right, so there's one demoulded. That's the bigger one. Look at the sparkle in that. And that was quite chunky too, so in fact there's still some bits left in here. Look, oh, there we go. Just need to do a bit more pulling the little bits of the crystals out. I think I've got most of them now. So that's that one. Let's take this one out on camera. I'd forgotten I hadn't turned the camera on for the first one. Now if you let the silicone dry really properly, the silicone and the crystals underneath, I mean, if you've let them really dry out completely right through to the bottom, so leave them a couple of days longer than you think, then the crystal underneath should be so nice and solid that you can use it again like this. The big one, it was a little bit damp underneath still, so the crystal fell apart, which is a shame. But there we go, there's another insert. Now what I do is I just trim off this extra around the edge here, and just a pair of scissors will do that. And this one is nice and round to start with. So look out for a video coming soon. I'll use both of these and we will see how it goes.